Welcome to my reading of The Legend of Giddie. This is a light sci-fi young adult short story set in the early 2100s. It includes an LGBT romance, a female main character, brief descriptions of gore and violence in 2 scenes, and other fun stuff. I hope you enjoy. Brass instruments blare through the lavender air. The sound pangs in my head like a hammer against an anvil. I had rehearsed this ceremony excessively, but my hands still shake and my knees won't stop bouncing against the velvet robe. Breathe in, breathe out. My mouth warps into a smile. As I push open the doors, my silk sleeves sparkle. I remember Mother's reminders. Walk with my back straight and my chin high as I stride down the aisle. I meet my mother's approving eyes. After the music and applause stop, my stomach squeezes even tighter. Mother begins her speech. The annual Royal Games had ended yesterday, and where I am now is the closing ceremony. My family is part of the royal people, those who preside over all the ceremonies, so we have to talk at the end of it. My speech comes after my mother's. Even if I don't have much to say, I still have to defy social anxiety to go through with it. I am pleased to present my most prideful daughter, Princess Veda of Highland, Mother says, gracefully gesturing toward me. I smile without twitching and lean forward as a sign of respect to the people. The games have ended for this year. Thank you to the many who competed with persistence, and thank you to those who certainly cheered with persistence. Till the next year. In my long purple sleeve, I've concealed a wand. I wave the wand and wield an array of magical sparkles. Everyone cheers as color dances over their heads. Before my skin starts to itch from the attention, the ceremony ends. Fortunately, time passes quickly to the afternoon after the ceremony. I don't have the cloak anymore, so I can't wield the wand. Instead, I'm in normal street clothing to match the people roaming around the market in the lowlands. Most people haven't seen me up close, so they shouldn't recognize me. The only part of me that's really distinguishable is my royal clothing. My long brown hair, white skin with teenage pimples, and average body don't really attract much attention alone. There's a celebration in the market. There are so many tastes and smells, of ripe fruit washed with clean water, and bread as long as your arm that you can break with a fine, satisfying crunch. I look around, happy that all these men, women, NBs, and children are enjoying themselves. The voices of people living their lives float to my ears. I pass through them, looking for anyone who could use some help. That's when I see someone who doesn't belong. The 2 eyes that were shining a second ago in the dark alley disappear. Why is someone back there? I slowly approach the alley. As I do so, the shuffling of feet echoes softly against the tight walls. Trash litters the edges of the buildings, slowing my speed as I pursue the fleeing sound. Soon the sound disappears, replaced by the sight of someone on the floor, curled up and alone. Loneliness shrouds me. It feels like a mix of gray and black? Why does it profoundly feel like color? Even though my sense of foreboding warns against it, I walk closer to the person. The feeling of loneliness goes away and is replaced by some other, lighter feeling. A round face looks up. Their short black hair seems like it's glued to their head. It's cut unevenly, like they did it on their own with a blade. Their eyes are wide and frightened. Beneath their rags of clothes, splotches of dark brown and white unevenly decorate their skin. With a bath, they could likely be quite beautiful. Their chest is heaving. They're scared. My own anxiety makes my skin tremble. I need to think of them as a scared and lonely kid instead of a mysterious stranger. I kneel down a couple feet away from them. Hey, I'm Veda. Who are you? I say. They squeeze their eyes shut. That same disturbing loneliness washes over me once more in a wave of bleak gray and black. Can you talk? I push through the murky feeling orbiting this person. I have a theory of who they might be, or rather, of what they might be. Are you something other than human? A short spurt of white flashes into my mind. Now I know what they are. They're a malformed human. They can't talk. In their kind's legend, it is said that they can talk through sending colored feelings to another person. I've heard that they're repulsive. Being a royal, I only have 2 choices of what to do with them. I can make them my slave, or I can kill them. Killing them seems extreme, but I don't really want to deal with a malformed human. Why do they have to be so weird and uncommunicative? Still, no one deserves to die just for existing. Since I found them, no other royal can make this decision, not even Mother. I stand up straighter, suddenly feeling superior. I'm no longer scared, now that I know what they are. A pang of remorse goes inside me, though, when I think of my decision. I have to seem nice to get them to come with me. Hey, let's go. I have somewhere I can take you, I say, sweeter than the syrupy smells of sugared fruit wafting from the market. They don't smile, but they do slowly push off the ground. I hold out a hand and smile. I don't really want to touch them, but I have to seem open. They take my hand with a light grip, refraining from greatly changing their expression. Their eyes are still scared, but they show a little willingness. My smile quivers at how easy this is. I guide them out the alley, through the streets, and to the steps of the castle. They look back the whole time, at least until we climb the steps. Their eyes gape in wonder as they take in the castle. I lead her up all 900 steps to the towering doors. The guards recognize me and prepare to open the doors, but they hesitate to let the malformed human inside. After explaining what I plan to do, they let us pass through the doors. The first room is full of colors and beautifully built. It is from the early 2050s, so of course it's abundant with color. I always loved the vivid blues, pinks, reds, yellows, gold, and stark whites that appear in this castle. For a second I feel something bright highlight the air around the malformed human, as quick as a gasp. They let go of my hand, run to the center of the room, and start spinning like a ballerina. I twist my face so I won't burst out laughing. This teenage malformed human is acting like a little kid. Their colors become more passionate. I'm knocked to the ground by the bright colors radiating from them. My hands take the shock of the landing, making me wince. How was I knocked to the ground with color? I growl under my breath. I quickly lurch to my feet. After they're done bouncing around like a cartoon character, they fall on the ground, their mouth open as if laughing. I pull them to their feet and lead them up the spiral staircase to my room. They see the soft colors on the staircase and send out a giddy red feeling as they run ahead. Wait, I call, anger deepening my voice. Can't catch them in these common clothes. They hold their arms out, like they're embracing the place. They seem to realize that they don't know where they're going, since they come back and climb the steps with me. I open the colorful doors to my room. The malformed human sends out a pink flavor of feeling, and I think, judging by the look on their face, that it's a squeal. They run in, and are as ecstatic in my room as they've been in the rest of the castle. I motion that it's time to go, and they reluctantly follow me out. I need to take them to the council, to tell them what to do with this malformed human. At least they got some enjoyment out of this before their punishment. I tell them to wait outside the door while I change into a glittery dress. They love it so much that I have to clench the door frame to keep from being knocked over again. We hurry down the stairs. I'm pleased to be able to run again, and the malformed human is probably eager to see more color. When we reach the council room, I pull on the bell rope to call the council. The bell tolls for minutes outside, the sound searching out those who must serve. After 5 minutes, the council is all here, sitting in their raised seats. The malformed human and I stand on the platform. Please state your purpose, the head council person says. I bow and say, I found a malformed human. I point my hand to the malformed human. I found them in the lowlands, in an alley. One of the council members asks, death or enslavement? Enslavement, I confirm. Then it is finalized. This malformed one shall become your slave. You have our stamp. The head councilman holds out a piece of script with an inky purple stamp. I walk up the many long steps to receive the parchment, my boots piercing the silence. Once I have the decree safely in hand, I descend the stairs. When I pass the malformed human, they follow me. They're jumping like a cat, trying to clasp the sunlight from the large stained glass window. They can't go back to the streets, and they can't just be sentenced to death. I must have made the right decision. Gingerly, I roll up the script. I need to take this parchment to the tag maker. I tell the malformed human, come on. When we reach the top, the malformed human jumps again. They poke all the shiny colored tags with their finger, distracted by all the color. When the tag maker looks at me, I see that they're different than the one I'm used to. The new hire has more wrinkles, and they have to stoop forward so they don't hit the ceiling. What are you permitting today? The tag maker asks, their voice somewhat muffled by their black mask. I'd like to permit this malformed human to be my slave by the order of the council. I unravel the paper and lay it onto the table. Yes, the tag maker says. Right then, what is its name to be? I look over at the malformed human and say the first thing I can think of. Giddie. Giddie. Alright, typed in it is. I pick out a pink tag, and a few minutes later the tag maker hands me the engraved product. I have to drag Giddie away from the shop to get them to refocus on me and not the color. But as soon as I show them the tag, a pink aura of giddiness rises from them. I put the collar around their neck. "Now you have a name, Giddie," I say. They play with the angle of their shiny metal tag, making it reflect light onto a wall. Giddie is actually kinda cute when they play around with color and light. They seemed dark before, but now they seem more open. Still childish, but at least they aren't putting up a fight against enslavement. Perhaps they could be tolerable. Giddie and I exit the shop. We return to my room in the castle, which is now also where Giddie will spend most of their time. I need to teach them to clean. I hope that they know something about cleaning, but judging on their looks, I'm dubious that I'll find good results. I show Giddie the sucking machine that clears dust. The sucking machine makes a whirring sound, which evidently makes them jump. I show them a spot heavily piled with dust and use the machine to suck it away. Giddie waits for a second, and then their face highlights with an idea. They lift their hands. A ray of green light escapes from their mouth. Bright green sparks zap around the room with pops and crackles. Blue swirls come next, carrying the dust out the window. Then bright yellow rays shine, making the wilting plants rise up once more with life. Color wafts all about the room. It's cleaning, mending, and more. I'm gaping awkwardly, but I don't blame myself because that spectacle was amazing. Maybe they are more than they seem. When they stop with a beaming smile, I say, "Giddie, this is fantastic." Their smile falters and they fall backwards onto my bed. "Giddie." Concern jolts through me. They hold their hands up, signaling that they're okay. As they slowly sit up, I sit down next to them. Maybe I could be somewhat nicer to them than I have been. I know you understand me, but I don't understand you very much. Can you speak? I say. They have a dumbfounded look on their face. They point to their mouth. I nod and repeat my question. Giddie shakes their head and throws their arms out to the room and points to their mouth. I say, "You seem to like color." Giddie bobs their head. "Something to do with color," I say. Giddie nods and points to their wide-open mouth. "Color is your language?" I ask. They nod once more, and then point to their ear. "Ears. Here. Do you hear something?" I ask them. They shake their head. Then they circle their hands toward them. Back. "Color? I guess." Giddie nods and points to their ear again. "You hear color too?" I ask. A misty white aura of light glows around Giddie for a second to match their beaming face. "Wait, do you also see it? Like me?" I say. Giddie is frozen for a moment, then laughs with a carefree yellow aura and shakes their head, still pointing to their ear. "You only hear it," I say. Giddie nods. Then they point to their ear and use their hand to do something. Can't tell what, though. Slowly, Giddie gets up and beckons me over to my tech screen. I look at the tiny symbol she is jabbing at. It is the sound wave, the symbol for volume. Giddie points to her eyes with one hand and thrusts her finger at the symbol repeatedly. I slowly connect the pieces. Stunned, I say, "You see sounds?" Their face is beaming in bright pink. Yellow bursts from their face in short spurts. I smile. Their colors are kinda stupidly endearing. "There. Is it there?" "Hey, Giddie, what pronouns do you prefer? They, them?" They tip their head and shake it. "She, her?" She nods, yellow brimming from her face. "Me too," I say. Giddie grins as she walks to the balcony. Light purple spirals out of her mouth as her blank eyes overlook the expansive view outside the palace. Then Giddie stares at me with wide eyes, clearly asking something when I feel the blue from her. Almost as if she's asking, "Am I staying here?" "You are going to be staying here, if that's what you're asking," I confirm. Warm colors release into the dimming sunset sky, her smile radiating most of them. My eyes dart to the dark circles under her eyes. "How much sleep do you get?" Giddie looks down at her hands on the balcony. She follows me curiously as I walk inside and call out for the guards. When they step inside the room, I ask, "Can you please retrieve a bed?" I don't really know what proper procedure for having a servant is. Having her sleep in the same room as me might not be normal, but it could be nice to be near someone for once. Soon we retreat to our beds. The next time I wake is in the middle of the night. Strange. It's too dark in here. I should see the city lights from the balcony. Then I distinguish the murky feeling lingering nearby. Bedsheets rustle across the room. My feet tentatively find the floor. I wade through the black and go to the eye of the storm. Giddie appears asleep. She's mostly pale, with curved stripes of black on her face. I shudder at her eyes. They're completely white, including her pupils. My mouth opens to call out, but only swallows thick, smoky black. My limbs fade into numbness and I crumple to the floor. My head rests against the ground and my eyes close again. In the morning, I'm on my bed. Giddie laughs with orange when I sit up. She points to me, and then the floor. "I was on the floor last night?" I ask. She nods. My skin shudders at the memory of her white eyes and black stripes. So it likely wasn't a dream. Unfortunately, I have other things to worry about, such as the post-games meeting today with my snotty colleague. I can ask Giddie about the white eyes later. After dressing in colorful clothes and Giddie braiding my hair, the two of us board the fastest royal ride to my meeting, the rocket sled carriage. For some time, we gaze at the blur of yellow leaves out the window. Finally, we skid to a stop at a rather presumptuous-looking castle, looming with too many turrets and chute delivery systems, the funding of which could have gone to feeding their lowland people. I swing the small door outward, and the two of us step out. Briefly explaining to Giddie, I mutter, "The buff kid with the crown is part of the extended royal family. Technically, he's a prince, but we're not related, and he's not quite on the same hierarchy as me. Do your best to hold back from cringing in his presence, no matter how difficult." Giddie nods fervently with a slight gray emitting from her pursed lips. As we approach the castle steps, Ben puffs out his chest. His two servants stumble out from the castle doors, pushing them open in welcome. It's faint, but there's a meek gray emitting from those doors. No? Wait, it's his servants. I never realized it because their color is so weak, but they're malformed humans, aren't they? "Royal Princess Veda of the Highlands, I greet you. As the Royal Prince of Frostvale, I welcome you to the castle." "Thank you, Ben." I return with thanks, as I'm supposed to. "Ah, I see you have a new servant, malformed, I presume." Ben leans forward with interest. "Yes, her name is Giddie," I say. "Don't let him take her." "Oh, what a cute pet name. Do I need to remind you, it is tradition to share servants between guests and hosts? I might require its assistance for a few chores," Ben says. It's against the law to ignore this tradition, and Mother would scorn me for not obeying. Still, do I really want him ordering Giddie around? I form my words carefully. "You may kindly use her for certain chores that relate to our stay." I'm led up to my room many floors up. Giddie almost follows me inside, but Ben stops her. "You," Ben says. "Follow me." I raise an eyebrow. "Where does she stay?" Ben smiles politely to me. "Where the other malformed ones stay. The dungeon." I can see a wicked smile flash across his face. I shouldn't be shocked, but my breaths start to grow uneven with anger. Is there a way I can get Giddie to escape his cruelty without breaking the law? "She is accustomed to staying nearby me to protect me." "Protect you? What can it do?" Ben steps toward me. "What? Will it do something if I attack you?" Giddie looks between the two of us, startled at the question. "Look, Ben, she's stronger than you think," I defend. "Are you defending the malformed thing? You've always been so cute in the way you treat animals." He tilts up my chin with his hand. "I suppose I could make an exception this time." His hand under my jaw sends electric jolts down my spine. Just endure the touch. Giddie's almost escaped his cruelty for this week's stay. A blast of red smacks his hand away from me. Ben flies into the railing. He stammers as he grips the balcony, making sure he doesn't fall to the other side. When I look at Giddie, her face is warped with anger. Ben's soon reciprocates. "Ungrateful brat!" Ben snaps. "Guards, take it to the dungeons!" In a flash, a couple of the guards snatch Giddie by the arms and drag her down the stairs. "Hey, stop! She was just protecting me!" I call out. "Protecting you from what? I just touched you!" Ben pulls my shoulders back to face him. "And anyway, I thought you'd like it." Ignoring him, I run down the steps after Giddie. Fortunately, Ben just gives a scoff and doesn't follow as I head for the dungeons. The guards pass me on their way out of the metallic entrance. Despite the large amount of servants Ben has, none of the cells are occupied. None except Giddie's. I kneel down next to the metal bars that block the two of us. When she sees me, she gives a bright pink greeting. "Giddie, thank you for what you did." I start. my hand clenching one of the bars for comfort. I'm so sorry you're in this mess. She scoots closer to where I am and looks at me without emitting any color. Waiting? Just not saying anything? I continue. I swear I'll try to get you out of this. We'll only stay here for a week regardless, but Ben is cruel. I don't know what he plans to do with you, and I'm not sure I can stop it without breaking any rules. If I have to, though. Would I? Giddie tentatively reaches out for the bars. Her hand hovers over mine. She looks at me, waiting. I realize what she's asking. Yeah, it's okay. She sets down her hand, wrapping her fingers through mine. She emits a burst of rouge. I feel my chest warming up. My other hand rubs my cheeks, which feel warmer than they should be. Giddie, do you realize how cruel he is? She gives an almost, are you serious? Look. Of course she's noticed. I just mean, this is serious. I clear my throat, trying to refocus on getting her out of here, but it's difficult to focus with those bright eyes of hers. I might not be able to get you out until the end of the week. She nods gravely, then shrugs as if it can't be helped. A bubbly laugh comes out of my throat. I keep feeling the warmth of her hand. I don't want her to let go. She does let go, though, and she scoots away a bit, as if trying to end the conversation. This isn't fair. She shouldn't be in here, especially with how dark and gray it is. She wouldn't like it for long. If they take away your dress, I yank on the edge of my pink sleeve until a rip cascades through the air. I hand her the pink fabric. Keep this hidden. Look at it whenever you need some color, okay? Her eyes start to water, but she gives a smile and tucks the fabric away in her clothes. At the beginning of the week, I don't need to be anywhere near Ben except during meals. Every time, I argue for him to let Giddie back in my possession. I argue that I was almost mugged during an outing, which resulted in the ripping of my sleeve, and I needed Giddie there to protect me. Doesn't matter what I say, he won't listen. The next time I see Giddie is 3 days later. Her clothes are in tatters, and her face is red from being worked too hard. She twitches even as she stands still, and her chest is heaving. Even though she smiles and gives off a faint pink at seeing me, my gaze is drawn to 2 long, blistering red marks on her arms. My fists quiver. Torn between punching Ben's face and taking Giddie's hand, I manage to choose the latter. I guide her toward the entrance of the castle, but when she realizes what I'm doing, she digs her feet into the floor. He doesn't get to treat you like this. I don't care what laws protect him. We're going home, I insist. Giddie shakes her head, calmly gathering resolve. But why? I ask. She puts her other hand on mine. She's doing this for me. I bite my lip, not knowing what to do. At least let me treat your burns. She looks at her arms, considering. Then she nods. After I receive burnt ointment from the guards, the 2 of us seek refuge in my room. I gently apply the ointment to her arms, which results in black sparks from her mouth. I'm sorry, is it too much? I ask. She shakes her head vehemently. Fortunately, the ointment works quickly to make the skin much less red. I tell her, the blisters should hopefully resolve overnight. A bit of orange spurts from her, along with a slight smile showing thanks. You're welcome. Just try to comply as much as you can, okay? If it gets to be too much, don't hesitate to get me and we can leave, I say. She nods. As I open the door for her to go, she faces me with a slight bit of pink emitting from her. What is it? I ask. She points to her mouth, then to my cheek. She tilts her head in questioning. Sure. I swallow, trying to contain my breathing. She presses a kiss to my cheek. It lingers for just a slight extra second than I expect, sending heat through my face. She backs away with a giddy smile, then runs down the stairs. My stomach churns. My fingers delicately hover over the spot where her lips were. I still feel the light pressure of them there. At that evening's dinner, I'm still thinking of Giddie. But then I start daydreaming beyond a kiss on the cheek. They've held hands. She gave me a kiss on the cheek. Could we maybe, at some point, kiss? You look lost in your head, Ben notes. Why did he stop that daydream? I'm just considering joining the wrestling games next year so I can beat you. He laughs. Your humor never ceases. Speaking of, you haven't yet brought up your pet. Giddie, I correct. And you don't seem to want to listen. I can listen plenty, especially to rumors about a certain kiss between you 2. I jolt. Don't show your surprise. Damn, my eyebrows moved. Fix it. So it appears to be true. His mouth twists in distaste. Well, it certainly explains why my advances have meant nothing. You have a malformed fetish. She's not malformed, I defend, and it's not a fetish. I actually like her. Do I really like her? When did this happen? Actually what? Like her? He bellows in laughter. What, can you picture marrying her someday? A malformed human as a queen? How preposterous that people would never accept her. I can't believe you're actually considering something so idiotic. I was just daydreaming about kissing her, not marrying her. But if I really do like her, it's possible that someday we could marry. But if we do, what of the people? You know what? I like her, okay? It's none of your business what happens with that. He just keeps laughing, so I walk out of the dining hall. The next day I go to see Giddie in the dungeons, but she's not there. As I don't have much planned for the day, I search for Giddie. I ask every person I see if they've seen her. I make my way back to Ben and ask him. He denies knowing where she is. Despite how untrustworthy he is, somehow he seems to actually not know. I keep running until I have to stop on a balcony and catch my breath. I see parchment lying on a table near me. Maybe it's a note. Maybe Giddie just went out for a bit. I snatch up the parchment. I can feel my face twist in confusion. I flip it over. The other side is blank. There are only splotches of color on the front. Ah, Giddie probably wouldn't use words in a note. There is a green splotch on the paper, and also a brown splotch. Those colors could form a plant. There are some yellow marks on the paper forming a teardrop shape. No, it is not a teardrop. It's a leaf. The yellow leaf forest. I want to follow her into it, but what direction do I go? Maybe the placement of the parchment is a clue. She couldn't have gone outside the front door because of the guards, which means she found a way outside right here. I whirl around to inspect my surroundings. Directly beside the balcony is a pole. My heart lurches when I realize what I have to do. I slowly hop onto the balcony ledge and twist my feet over to the other side. Oh, gods, I whisper. I hold onto the pole as tightly as I can. Then I scrape my legs out to meet the wall. Small bits of marble fall. My knees shake. The weight of the earth's gravity yanks on me. There is only this pole and this wall to keep me up, to keep me from collapsing into a heap of princess. I squeak my hand down the pole a couple of inches. I move a foot and feel my heart jerk. I squeal. I can do this. I continue a pattern of moving. The sunlight on my face feels new. The beating of my heart pounding in my ears feels different than usual. What am I doing chasing a girl like this? I've never felt so motivated to do something this stupidly dangerous. My arms hurt as if they've been yanked on. A weird fear swirls in my stomach as I look at the ground and find it's only a foot below me. I drop to the ground. I wince with the sting in my ankles, but then laughter bubbles from my throat. I just did a seemingly impossible thing. Now I scan for footprints. Ah, there they are. I feel swirling bits of color erupt from each one, stronger with each step. I sprint with all my leftover power after Giddie's tracks. The forest gets thicker and thicker. More leaves of yellow and orange cover the tracks. But the actual tracks don't matter anymore. It's the emotional footprint left behind that I follow now. What snaps me back into reality is the stone ramming into my head. I fall to the ground, looking up slowly, small pains exploding inside my neck. I see an oddly shaped wall with something like a gap in it. The gap my body slid into as my head crashed into the stones above it. I test my neck. There's barely any pain now. I walk around the wall to see that the stone wall likely once belonged to a house. But I've never seen any stone architecture in the Highlands. I smell bark mixed with decay, like an outlawed laboratory. I pluck a leaf off of a low tree next to the wall and try a useful practice I adopted long ago. I lick the leaf. It tastes unmistakably bitter. That means that this tree was tested on. A scientist or someone who practices on organisms must work here. I stand still to feel for any breeze, but the wind is still, as if waiting for me to draw breath first. No sound around for as far as I can hear. I wonder if Giddie went in here. Her footsteps end at a choppy stone door. Yes, she must be there. I don't hear anyone inside. But there is something that I feel. And it isn't my own emotion. It must be Giddie's. Wait? No. I gape at the pain I'm feeling. The pain others felt here. And the pain others are currently feeling here. Voices, feelings, colors, and screams happened here. This isn't just an outlawed scientist's home. This place is a slaughterhouse. Every part of me wants to pull away from the house, but I still shove open the door, shoving all those feelings along with it. I strain to open my eyes and look inside. Strangely, it looks like how I'd picture a home inside a cottage. Old-fashioned, but ordinary. There is a couch, a bed, a table with chairs, bunches of cabinets, and other old ordinary things. Then I see a door embedded into the floor. I can't think of anything but reaching Giddie, even though these morose thoughts and feelings flooding through me make it hard to think. I flip open the latches and swing open the door on the floor with a startling bang. I carefully step down the stairs. Immediately, a light sparks on. Now I know that I literally smelled decay earlier. In this large underground room, there are several jars piled on shelves, thick bags littering the floor, and an array of tables with bodies strapped to them. I step by a large open bag. As soon as I see what lies inside, I cover my mouth, forcing back the sour bile creeping up my throat. The remains inside are mostly old, but there appears to be some fresh flesh and bone piled near the bag's edge. Acid keeps climbing up my throat, but I keep it down. My skin shakes, feeling both cold fear and boiling anger in regards to whoever is responsible for this. I focus on the humans who are strapped to the tables. The only commonality I see between them is that they're all young, and they have bloody necks and torsos. I see Giddie lying on a table in the middle of the room. She's staring into space with big black stripes marking her face. I shake her a little. She doesn't respond. I shake her some more. Please, Giddie, wake up. I almost kiss her on the cheek, but she scoots away. She has a violet and black feeling mixed together that sinks into me when her solemn eyes show. I hiss, "We need to leave." Giddie looks scary, with black stripes marking her arms now too. Her eyes flashing at me add to the creepiness. Judging by the look on her face, she feels hurt. I don't know what they did to you, but whatever it is, I'll never let them do it again. We can go back to my castle early. There, I'll protect you. I hold Giddie's shoulders, trying to get her to look at my eyes. She seems to be searching for lies on my face. Still, she doesn't reply. I keep talking. You don't have to tell me about this place if you don't want to, but I know enough to say that you shouldn't be here. Giddie's eyes soften. Her stripes begin to fade. I imagine it'll take some time for others to treat you with the respect you deserve, but it'll happen. Please, just come with me. The rest of the stripes on her face fade into her normal pale color. She holds my hand and puffs out her chest, mimicking Ben. Did you hear that dinner conversation? I ask. She nods. Is that why you're here? She nods again, looking at her hands in her lap. Giddie, I meant what I said then, and Ben's just gonna have to deal with it. Everyone can. If I possibly want to be romantically involved with Giddie, I'm prepared to make everyone respect that decision. A breath of pink releases from her slim smile. There's the glimmer in her eyes again. Is someone out down there? A hissing voice asked from above. Is it you, my little girl? Red flares fly from Giddie. The light bulb sparks off, forcing us into darkness. The floor door is still open on the right side of the lengthy room, painting a small portion of the room in light. I hear a few clops and creaking. My heart rams into my ribcage, trying to run away from this body that's too shocked to move. Giddie's feelings of red become frantic. I feel a tug on my dress. Her hand grasps mine. Then we bolt through the room. Wait, she can see sound, can't she? No wonder she can run through this darkness. I try to calm my breaths and release my hesitation. I trust her to guide us out of here. I hear gravel and dirt softly hit the ground. Giddie puts my hand on the wall. When my hand frantically searches for a way out, Giddie pushes my hand back in that spot. She wants me to stay. Scratching comes from Giddie's direction, then a few rays of brightness burst forth. I see her hand beckoning me over. There's a ledge. I struggle to climb on. Fast footsteps approach behind me. Giddie scratches the large hole quickly and pushes through. She reaches out to me with her hand, and I grab it and she pulls. Someone is holding my leg. I shake hard, but the grip is firm on my shoe. My boot slips off, and Giddie pulls me through. Giddie runs without looking back. I run alongside her, but I look back to see a dirty arm feeling around the grass. I limp run with Giddie all the way back to Ben's castle. Giddie and I are dirty and stinky, so I have to come up with a traveling through the forest and fell into a hole kind of story. The guards accept it. After we clean ourselves in my room, I tell Giddie, "You're just going to stay with me this whole time. Don't do anything Ben tells you to anymore, alright?" She nods. Thank you for coming back here for me, by the way. I can't imagine how hard that would be, given what you've already been through here, I say. Her hand rests on mine again. Although it's such a common occurrence now, every time our hands touch, my heart still gives a flutter. Giddie? I reach my hand out for her face, not sure how to ask. I've never asked anyone before. She rests her head in my hand. Her face is so soft. My finger rubs over the edge of a brown splotch on her face, taking in how beautiful the individual pattern is. She grins and points at her mouth. My heart pounds in my head. I nod and lean forward. So does she. Her lips are warm against mine. A burst of pink blossoms around us as my hand cups her short hair. Her arms wrap around my back, desperately holding on to me. The push and pull of kissing her and breathing the pink air sends my head into the clouds, up where the pure whites and soft blue hues intermix. So beautiful. So wondrous. When we first pull away, I don't know what to say. My forehead rests against hers. Her breathy smile is so captivating. Finally. Feels like 1,000 years have passed since I met her. Now I don't want to leave her side. That night we cuddle on my bed, her body so close to mine. I try to delicately move a strand of hair out of her face, but I keep missing it, and eventually Giddie just blows it away herself. So much for romantics. A burst of yellow laughter appears from my attempts, but she sinks back into the state she was in before, her shiny eyes observing me, taking in my face like how I take in hers. You know I really like you, right? I say. I don't have like a fetish or anything. She spurts out more yellow. She nods, saying she knows. Well, maybe it'd be best if I correct the power imbalance here then. I look up at the ceiling, not knowing how I'll change the law, but knowing I need to. It's law that either people like you are killed or enslaved on sight. But that's not right, is it? She shakes her head. Then we've got to change it. We need to prove to everyone that you're human too. And then we can get everyone to respect a change of the Highland laws. She grins and snuggles closer to me. I wrap my arms around her back, grasping for the warmth she continues to emit. The next day I return to my usual schedule. This time, Giddie doesn't leave my side. Strangely, Ben only gives side glances to her, never acknowledging her. I'll take it though. The last days spent at his castle are mostly taken up by talking about problems faced in the kingdoms. Honestly, most of the time I'm daydreaming about Giddie. But when someone mentions something about the malformed human maker, I sit up and listen. The experimentalist kidnaps humans, making them this way. The speaker is one of the councilmen from Ben's castle. This person must be stopped. The malformed humans are created by this one man? The man whose arm I saw as I fled the dungeon in the woods with Giddie? The council keeps talking, and talks the next day and the next. Giddie sleeps in the same bed with me each night, and eats in the chair beside me each day, much to Ben's distaste. But on the last morning, I opened my guest room door to see guards burst in. They flood into my room and seize Giddie. She struggles, but the guards snap royal handcuffs on her arms. That's when Ben steps in. What is this about? I shout. He calmly answers, Oh, did I forget to mention that the balconies have cameras? I knew there was something odd going on. Before I can say anything, he spits out with a grin, I know that this malformed human escaped. You went after her and got her back, but you didn't file a report that she had escaped. When a servant escapes, it is punishable by death. I realize what he's saying. You can't do that! Guards, I order you not to! They are my guards. They respond to me first. They also respond to the law. I lean closer. I am a year older than you, Ben, and I am first in line to the Highland throne. I have more rights and a degree of power above yours. Yes, but the law is older than you, Ben says coldly. Take her away. Ben's councilmen huddle outside the door of my chamber in silence. She is a human being, I cry to the council. Despite their accusatory whispers, I continue. And she's dealt with worse things than politics. Her own home is worse than you have ever dealt with. Her own home. The High Councilman interrupted. So you have been to the lab? Giddie stopped struggling. Did I... When have I ever stuttered? Panic claws at my heart. Did I say lab? How did you find it? The councilman demands. I didn't find it, I stammer. Giddie did. I have no idea how. It was in the middle of nowhere, and we've never detected anything nearby. I imagine only anyone who knows the place well enough could find their way back. I see the looks on all the councilmen's faces, and the new determined look on the High Councilman's face. I insist. No, it's nothing like you've dealt with before. That man is horror. We have to go about this carefully. You've seen the man there. No, just heard him. Gather the warriors, guards, everyone who can help, and bring some malformed humans. We'll need them to take us to their home. Ben shouts at the guards. I try to yell at them, but to no avail. Then Ben looks at me. He tells the guards something inaudible, and then I feel something jutting into my skin, locking my arms. Then Ben uses his arm to hit the side of my head. I fall to the ground. I try to claw to reality, but my eyes close. I wake in the gray dungeon. I can't move my head to see my arms behind my back. My hands jut up and down against the clangs of chains. There are windows on each side of me to show the 2 cells on each side. It stinks in here. I see rags laying up against the wall of the cell to my right. The rags are chained. I blink until my eyes adjust to the light. Finally, I can see the familiar short black hair and the beautiful black and white skin beneath those rags. It's Giddie. Giddie. I move as close to her as I can. Her head doesn't move, but her eyes look over at me. She opens her mouth. Black smoke comes out of her mouth with little swirls of red. She lifts her hands, and the colors move around with her fingers. She forms a picture, and moves it through the barred window to my cell. It shows the clear image of a red Ben figure fighting against a smirking black figure. The other red figures are lying on the ground. Ben falls to the ground defeated. The smirking figure drags the red Ben inside the stone house. The image changes to the horror room. Ben is on a table. The smirking man has tools and is looming over Ben. No, not even he deserves that. I shake my head. We have to stop it. The image fades into the air. I look at Giddie and she half-heartedly shrugs. Do you know how to stop him? The one we're after? I ask her. Her eyes look down at the floor and her shoulders slump. She doesn't. Okay, we can figure it out on the way there. First things first, we have to escape here, or else he'll experiment on Ben and everyone else. Giddie looks up with her eyes wide. Black tiger stripes slide from her pupils and leave a trail all the way to her legs. She shakes so much that I can barely tell that she purposefully shakes her head. Giddie, I know it's scary, but I won't let him get you. I'll protect you, but I need to know the way there. Please, can you help me? I ask. She stumbles to her feet, then gives a guttural scream like a battle cry. Her eyes are wide while she stares at the wall opposite the jail bars. Black stripes flood from her fingertips, crashing into the wall. The gray marble collapses with a rumble. I look back to Giddie. She stands pressed to the bars. I quietly call to her. She quickly gets to her feet and does her I'm fine stance. Giddie points to the marble rubble and hops through an opening. I find a way out of my side as well and rush toward her. Are you sure you can do this? I ask, searching her face in concern. She nods, determination flooding into her eyes. She clasps my hand and we start running through the yellow trees. My ears and heart pound in sync with my running beat. The fall chill grows in the shadows of the trees. I notice that the trees start to shape oddly. The smell of decay is strong now, stronger than the last time I was here. There is red liquid flowing from the top of the hill that I'm climbing. Giddie halts. I scan the place. It's exactly the same as Giddie's vision. In front of the house we escaped a couple days ago, there are bodies on the ground. Blood splatters through the ground. A bulky man covered with soot, dirt, and blood laughs maniacally. Ben falls to the ground at the man's feet. My eyes narrow. According to Giddie, Ben would be carried inside next. Guards charge at this bulky stranger who I assume is the lab master, the experimentalist. Before the guards reach him, the experimentalist drapes Ben over his shoulder, lumbers into his hideaway, and slams the door behind them. Giddie drags me to the hole in the side of the house while the guards try to break the door down. I wonder why they can't get it open. As if to answer that question, Giddie knocks on the wall with a clang. The wall is metal disguised as stone. Giddie and I swing through the hole and land on the ground in the dark. White sparks fill the room with light. The experimentalist places the unconscious Ben on a table. Giddie still has her black stripes on from the jail cell. She charges the stripes at the experimentalist, but he dodges them. Giddie growls. The experimentalist says, "Daughter, to see you again. Why you treat me so? You didn't even recognize me when I went to find you." My eyes widen at Giddie. Her stony expression is frozen. I also realize where I've heard that voice. The new tag maker. The experimentalist twists his fingers. Black fog carries me and straps me on a table. My arms and legs struggle to break free, but I can't move. Giddie and the experimentalist strike at each other with color while the experimentalist taunts her. A bulky silhouette looms over me. I squirm, thinking somehow it's the experimentalist. Wait, this figure is shorter than the experimentalist. The straps rip. I am about to shout for Giddie, but something clasps my mouth shut. Quickly, Ben's voice hisses, "Shut up! I'm sorry, alright? Let me get you free." I settle down so he doesn't cut me with the knife he pulls from his shoe. As soon as I feel the straps tear and pop, I lurch off the table. Giddie is still at war with the experimentalist. I know I can't interfere, or I might mess up Giddie's efforts, or my physical body. Ben steps in front of me, blasting me back with an unknown force into the wall. I'm tingly with a gold feeling. The gold feeling comes from Ben. He had talked to me as if he were unchanged, but the color feeling, he has that too. Not as strong as Giddie's, but one thing is certain. Ben is malformed now. "Sorry, I swear that was supposed to be gentler," Ben calls out to me. Ben strikes the experimentalist in the back with his hand. Golden flashes shock my eyes, blinding me with lingering highlighted splotches. I feel myself lifted into the air, and slammed down on my back. The highlighted spots start to clear from my eyes, and all I see is a massive figure looming over me. I try to scream, but I'm frozen. I see the silhouette of something shaped like oval handles on scissors, and a long thin line coming from a ball in the massive person's hands. I struggle as hard as I can, but a hard force smacks my forehead. Lightning pain flares through my throat. Internally, I scream with the worst pain I have ever felt. My throat is splitting apart. Then a small figure comes and jumps on the massive one's back. Black stripes. The large figure falls down. I hear vague talk, and then a squeezing on my throat before I fade away from the moment. Dim light fills my eyes. I pat the soft fabric beneath me. A ripple of ache settles in my back as I sit up. Giddie wakes up beside me, flashing a pink and gold mix of relief. "Giddie," I say with relief and surprise. "What happened?" Her chin is down as her eyes look up at me, waiting. I start to stand, but I feel a sharp pain in my neck. I slouch again and feel around under my chin. There's something hard there. A string? A necklace? A rope? I look down in disbelief. I look back up at Giddie. She moves some of the rags on her neck to reveal metallic string threading from one side to the other. But how am I talking? How am I talking? My breaths run uncontrollable. Giddie, despite the pity in her eyes, grasps my hands and gives a hopeful smile. Purple and red dust spurts from my mouth. I'm both. I have both qualities of human and malformed. I'm both. Giddie nods. But I'm okay? You're okay? She nods again, starting to grin with me. I take a deep breath. That's kind of amazing. How do you speak? Giddie takes a breath and relaxes her hands, as if just letting go. I try the same thing. Relaxed blue emits from my fingers. As soon as I notice, it quickly jumps to yellow. That's amazing! Giddie grins, holding my hands. She pulls me to the door. I pull the door open. Golden sparks shoot toward me. I slam the door shut. Giddie, stay behind me. I creak the door open once more. Move the picture over a little to the right. Don't slam it into the guest door again. Someone calls from below. Golden sparks hold up colorful pictures and place them on the wall with the help of other colors. I dare to look down the balcony. Several figures stand at the ground floor, sending colors all around. They're decorating the place. I rush inside my room and look out the window to see colors flooding all around. I see bubbly waves altering the air like fumes. Is that what laughter looks like to Giddie? I hear people talking in colored responses. I run down the stairs. I see Ben and his servants. The servants are in clean and colorful clothing. They're even smiling. Ben gives a kind laugh. Now I'm even more confused. Ben shouts with a gold aura. Who says these people are not good? It was Giddie. That's it. Giddie saved us both. She sewed up our necks and carried us out of the basement before the tools broke down and destroyed the place. She healed the council and warriors. She released all the other humans in the basement who are petrified. Gosh, why didn't we treat them better before? Yellow light shines from Ben. His neck has the same metal string I saw on Giddie. The sight of Ben being somewhat more decent than usual shocks me into place. I'm not sure how to react. Look, I'm glad you're embracing it now, but... Ben sighs and rubs his head. He steps closer to me to talk in a quieter tone, but he still seems to try maintaining a respectful distance. I already apologized to my servants and freed them. They actually decided to stay here once they realized I was part malformed. I still owe you and Giddie an apology, though, and because my malformed humans are freed, I'm essentially forced to support changing the enslavement or death law, if that's still on your mind. Support us on that, and don't try to purposely make me, Giddie, or any malformed humans uncomfortable again. Then I might consider accepting an apology from you at some point. He nods. Understood. I'll see what I can do. Speaking of the law, he turns around and gestures into the crowd. The High Councilman from my kingdom and Ben stride inside the castle doors. Not dead yet, my High Councilman says to me, chuckling. Before, you were supposed to be in prison, Ben's High Councilman says to me. But with a lighter tone he says, but if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have all this new color. And your partner saved our lives. And now the air is filled with color. My councilman gazes up. You are free to leave. No punishment. None for your partner as well, Ben's councilman announces. And the enslavement or death laws for malformed humans will be submitted for revoking. I laugh and clasp my mouth. Giddie is fine. She'll be free, too. I feel a color coming from above. Giddie slides down on her own black stripe of color. She skids to a stop on the ground and lurches into hugging me. Feeling her embrace is such a relief, and brings out a surge of pink from me. New clothing has been laid out for Giddie, Ben says to me. He looks at Giddie and shows her his hand, now full of many hues of yellow highlighted with black. Giddie squeals. She creates her big black stripe and rides on it like a surfboard up to the guest room again. I walk outside. I meet all of the colors with compassion, and let out some of my own purple to fill the air. Giddie rides out the window in a yellow dress with black stripes and lands next to me. She drags me quickly to the main square. Ben and some others from the castle follow us. Giddie grabs random people from the curious crowd to the center and forms a dance circle. As they dance, they invite people from the crowd, both malformed and human. Giddie drags me to the center and starts spinning. She watches me, and I start trying to spin. I mostly stumble and fall to the ground. My cheeks flush with embarrassment. I'm used to more rigid dancing than this. My eyes linger on the ground. An offered hand comes into my vision. I look up the arm all the way to Giddie's smile. What a beautiful smile. I wouldn't have thought so over a week ago, when I despised people like her. But now I know that smile is the most beautiful and colorful I've ever seen. I grin. You are going to ask what I'm doing on the floor again, aren't you? Giddie closes her eyes and grins with yellow. She liked that. Giddie shows me something that feels easier. Just follow Giddie's guiding arm. Dancing with her feels wondrous, like I'm floating. Her soft eyes catch mine. She lets out a bit of pink, then we lean forward and kiss. Pink and purple flow out of me, intermixing with hers. When we part, Giddie runs out of the circle of dancing people. I laugh at the horror on Ben's face as Giddie drags him into the dancing circle. Ben and I face each other awkwardly while Giddie keeps dancing. She starts dancing with me, and encouraging me to keep going. Then she looks at Ben expectantly. You want me to dance on my own like a lunatic? Ben points his index finger up. I don't know who you think I... Giddie slaps his hand. Her eyes dare Ben to disobey her. I keep dancing and encourage him to. Hurry up, lunatic. Excuse me? Ben asks. Dance, you twit, I say. Finally, he starts doing a goofy in-place dance, and he eventually keeps going without paying heed to Giddie and I laughing with him. People are dancing, releasing color, and laughing, happier than ever. This is the kind of kingdom I always wanted. Giddie was the one who created this. Most malformed humans don't bother trying to communicate with humans. Most who did would end up enslaved or killed. Giddie was naive to try, but I guess that's how she was different than the rest. If she never did, I would have never realized how wrong I was. I look at Ben's goofily dancing self. If it weren't for Giddie, I would have continued to despise him. Giddie also saved him, and even seems to have forgiven him for how she was treated at his castle. The three of us dance in the center of a large dancing circle until we're all too tired to continue. That evening, Giddie and I travel in the rocket sled carriage back to our castle. Giddie looks out the window most of the time, staring at the yellow trees of the forest. She really changed my life. More color will be added. Hopefully, she will stay with me. Giddie is malformed, Ben is partially malformed, and my life will certainly change. I don't dare to think too much about the cords in my neck yet. I can see our adventures, Giddie and I can wake up every day to another fun day of color. Life will be fuller. We can discover new places. We can enter the annual competitions. We can have competitions specifically for color use, too. And we'll be rooting for Giddie every time. We step out of the carriage as dusk starts to settle. We stride up to the doors to the throne room, where we enter and walk down the aisle I walked for the game's ending ceremony only over a week ago. Mother waits at the end of it, looking at the two of us. We bow when we approach her. She smiles at Giddie. So I see. You're the famous malformed human to change even Frostvale's prince. And quite a beautiful girl you are. She eyes me. Yeah, Mother didn't know I liked girls. Giddie bows her head, giving off purple. She says thank you. I translate. At Giddie's eyes, I continue. And it's an honor to meet you. That's very kind of you, Giddie. Well, if you're to be free, you may remove your tag now. After all, you'll be staying with us with the status of a freed servant, Mother says. Giddie holds her fingers over her neck tag. For whatever reason, she doesn't seem to want it off. I suggest, I've got a different idea. The next day I pick out a purple collar with a tag saying Veda. When I wear it and show it to Giddie, she hugs me tightly. I couldn't help thinking that we stand united now. Though we may break away soon physically, I will never let her go. Giddie, you really are special, I say. She radiates a bashful pink. Really, you are. You should have your own legend. A surge of happiness seizes me, resulting in my voice becoming more dramatic to make her smile. This is your legend, the legend of Giddie, how she united two kinds of people and saved everyone. I just want to say thank you for everything. I can't wait to spend more time with you. She squeezes me harder. A raspy voice emerges from her. I can't wait either. Shades of color bloom from the two of us, mixing and floating away into the sky, blending with the sunset's array of colors. Congratulations and thank you for making it to the end of the story. I encourage you to revisit the audio version of this story anytime, and if you'd prefer to read through the whole story, click on the link in the description to read The Legend of Giddie in its entirety. Stay tuned for future stories.